Mid-September 2024 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And as I always say, they will be rough cut. This introduction will start off like most of them. Yes, here is where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, with warning signs about fierce guard cats, and the spot where GPS was tested from the late 1980s, so-called Robin's Corner, and a bit of garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present years ago. Not that many years ago. Yes, the oak tree that shot up from an acorn. Now, this spot is where a week ago Snoopy's boat was on test, and I'll probably go into that part of the video shot a week ago to see where we go from there. There's Toadie, that's our cat, prowling around, keeping an eye on the place, aren't you, Toadie? Yes, more about the robot boat in a moment. That's Snoopy's robot boat. That's Snoopy, just there. And while we're on the subject of guard cats, down here is the cat forts, or some of them. And these were essentially built several years ago for cats. Beware guard cat on patrol. Well, this one is Bentley. He's the senior guard cat, and he's been training. Yes, that's right, Bentley. He's been training Toadie since Toadie was an infant. Yes, I may as well put these out as well. Armed mice. You'll see lots of things where I'm making jokes, but you can never be sure whether they're true or not. Right. Hello, Toadie. Have you got any opinions? You may want to help testing of the boat. Now, just for this filming, I took the lid off, the electronics and other bits and pieces, and put on this text-to-speech unit, and this was just for shooting this clip, and hopefully we won't get any rain in the next few minutes. So what I'll do is I'll switch on this, and it'll go through a startup of waggling the rudder first of all, and then speaking through the text-to-speech.
Snoopy's Tickets 28X to GPS only autopilot. Software version Romeo. Last update 6th of December 2017.
6th of December 2017.
44 seconds. Target Alpha. 11 kilometers. At 349 degrees. GPS course 147. Speed 0.0 knots. Left 158.
Yes. The software hasn't been changed all these years. The main thing I've been doing, and it's shown the nitty gritty in the photo trails, is trying to find out.
8 seconds. Target Alpha.
Yes, it's going on a bit interrupting, isn't it? Let me just switch it off for this, and I'll unplug the text-to-speech, which is only used for, and that's the text-to-speech cat. I'll switch it on now. Oh, there's a bit of wildlife there. Look, bee coming. Hello, Toadie. You want to help with this? You can't hold the camera for me, can you? What are you looking at now? Something or other. Yes. Yes, what I've been spending time on is these batteries here. If you do the simple arithmetic, they should be good without the solar panels working at all, in other words completely covered. Those should be capable of running the power, the total electronic system for probably 5 or 6 days at least. So it's not able to do that, and that's what I've been spending the time over the last few weeks, and of course in the process finding lots of silly mistakes, badly soldered joints, or bad wiring, whatever. And of course, the other important thing is occasionally it's the components that need fixing, and it's all done by measurement. Right, loads and loads of talking, so let's make sure that's in the dry. Right, that'll do. I'll come back and do that properly. I'll take that with me as well. Right, so yeah, I'll leave. Toady, keep an eye on the boat, won't you? Yes, thought you would. Right, so we'll carry on with a normal introduction here. Yes, that's my car. Sorry, that's June's car. With promotion of the website, gpss.co.uk, that was a business many decades ago and is now just hobbies and charitable causes. So that's an example of one hobby. I'm not sure whether Toady is a charitable cause, but there's plenty of those. Yes, you've already seen the cat fort. Is Bentley still there? He usually spends his time dozing, don't you, Bentley? Yes. Right, past the bicycle, haven't had a chance. Yes, you're going to follow me? Yes, you're going to escort me in, I think. Yes, into the house. Yeah, well, before we go into the house, I have to point out some warning signs here. And in recent years, I have to say, these are just jokes, because people are saying, oh, you can't say that. So, well, first the simple thing, that's the camper that in recent years has been taken Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast, and it's got battle damage on it, which I wouldn't want to be removed now. Battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. I don't want that to be removed. Now, before we go into the house, there's warning signs. Yes, it says hidden closed circuit TV cameras. Lots of those about, you'll see them. No trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. There's a sign there which is repeated over on this side. You'll see it in a moment. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. That's my study through there. And this one is probably the most important because it's not just cameras. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock, beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? Just a joke, of course. Yes, that's the peanut feeder. Yes, wildlife gets through that, and you'll see that. That's another little camera there, solar powered, of course. That's about it. Yes, that's the flatulent fairy. It wasn't ready for Christmas, so that can go up next Christmas up the tree somewhere. Yes, peanuts everywhere. I think that's it. Oh, Bentley, you're coming in as well? Yeah, it's time for you to have lunch, isn't it? Bentley, come on then, follow me in. That was shot a week ago on the previous photo trail, so I'm now going into the house. And here's Toady, one of the fierce guard cats. Yes, Toady, yes. And this is where the boat is now. And of course the details will be in the photo trails, but basically having to sort out where problems were and do various experiments, and that all comes out in the photo trails. So yes, quick glance around. That pack might be of interest to Richard for his boat. And these are experiments that are going on at the moment. So I might use other clips at various places. I'm just grabbing the chance to shoot this introduction while I can. And I'm about to go into the photo trails. Yes, Toady's joining us. Hello, Toady. No attacking us, right? And at the very end there'll be two clips short, I think it was about 18 months ago, on two subjects: the prophetic words of James Lovelock about global warming, and in short, you haven't seen anything yet. And the other one is about my experiences with the UK DVLA, Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency. Anyhow, there's the pond, very low at the moment, so one of the things we're waiting to see when we get a chance, probably the winter, to repeat what we did last year, and it lasted fine, stayed full up. And then we've obviously got a hole tucked away that's opened up down the bottom somewhere. Enough talking from me. So now into those photo trails, and they will be long photo trails. Sunday the 15th of September 2024, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, Toadie relaxing in the garden with June. And I started off taking those snaps and then took a few snaps of the garden, including the gunra and June's washing line and the laboratory, brief glimpse of that, and the workshop area, then back to the games room and my study, and of course one of the important jobs was the processing of the video, the early September 2024 video, and that was available. And we had a visit from, I reckon that was the dad of the Lib Dem candidate. And yeah, work on the robot boat, checking voltages with it on static test, and a nice long call from Sandy. That's an old photo, isn't it? Messing around on the Barossa ranges. Yeah, June rustled up food. I took it into the naughty corner where I could relax and look at the closed circuit TV, and there's a little mouse, I think, just about make it out, and there's foxes coming to the front and back, and a hedgehog. And yes, it looked as though it was about to rain, and I intended to take a walk down to the Comrades Club. Oh yes, don't forget the olive oil in your ears. And so past the boat on test, down into the village and into the Comrades Club. So enjoy some 0% Peroni and the atmosphere. And yes, had that call from Paul, which is good. And yes, my friends from across the road came in and we spent some time chatting. Those aren't all the photos and visitors, that's just a flavour. Right, back home, the boat is still moving its rudder then, and yes, anybody could see where I went, and that processing is going on. So time for bed, but it was the next morning when the pictures are ready. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Started with Toadie relaxing, and yes, there's the sundial, there's the gunra, and yeah, looking down the end of the garden just to see if it's anything different. It does seem that, yeah, the stuff with the fence, but the hawthorn we planted from the other trees doesn't seem to have taken, but not to worry. Yeah, a few more snaps down the end of the garden and the compost heap. Yes, the pile of junk, and yes, June's washing. And now making my way round past the various things. There's the workshop area, open the door. Not a workshop, that's the laboratory with robot boats and electronics and all that sort of stuff. Yes, just a flavour of it. Haven't done any real work putting things in the right place yet. So working my way round to the workshop area and where things are for the moment. Main thing is we've created the space, but that's a snapshot of where we are at that time on that day. So just a record. So there's quite a lot of space there available for putting things in the right place. And then of course it'd be a case of which ones we keep and which ones we throw away or give away. And that's just looking round a corner June's greenhouse, and out to where she sat. I'm now looking up the garden. Yes, there's the bridge alongside the middle pond, and yeah, looking up. What else have we got? Oh yes, the old boat that's been there, old boat seat, and yeah, around the side of the pond, near the fence, and yeah, that's okay at the moment, but then again the pond's very, very low, and as I've said many times, a job for the winter. So back up on the patio, yeah, just a record. You can see all the cabling and everything of the pond pumps. And what have we got next? Yes. Yeah, going back into the games room, looking out, and yeah, it's just a record of all the junk. It's got to be sorted out and put in the right place. And then of course major exercise of throwing stuff away or giving it away. Yeah, looking down at stuff on the floor. That's the stuff I'm working on at the moment related to the boat. There's the test rig for checking a survey to depth into the hold, into my study, and yes, processing that video. Yes, it's only at that stage 0.5% completed. It hadn't been started not long ago. It takes the best part of a day to process. Right, now going into the lounge. Yes, Robin's Naughty Corner, and yes, the main seating area. What's on the screen? Oh, the website. Oh, that's something came through the door. I thought, oh, interesting. Yes, had the usual stuff in it, and looked at the closed circuit TV. The guy had put it through the door, and I reckon that was his dad. I may be wrong. It didn't take long to research these things. So there's the record for anybody interested in reading the details. Yes. Okay, June rustled up my lunch. Yeah, those, what I found, I think that was probably his dad. He'd always freeze the frames if you want to read it. Yeah, back out, and yes, decided to put the peanuts out on the bottom bridge. Had a bit of a doze, woke up, and yes, checked the voltages on the boat. Basically leaving it on static test, investigating the power problem. So that was at 4 o'clock BST. Oh yes, that was a call in from Sandy. And yeah, it was a lovely call, catching up on all sorts of things. And yeah, that's when I think that's when the boat stopped or started. You have to freeze it and look, and checking voltages again. Because obviously when the sun's out, the voltage tends to climb because of the solar panels. And right, looks like June's rustled up dinner. I take it into the naughty corner, listen to the Radio 4 news, and do the closed circuit TV check. Yes, there's young fox coming for peanuts at the front, the peanut feeder, and there is a mouse. You just about see him. Through till 05:27 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. And now running back from midnight. Yes, young fox coming for the peanuts at the front, and at on the top bridge just behind us. And there's a couple of foxes at the same time, young ones obviously, and there's a hedgehog. So we're still getting regular visits from the hedgehog. There's me messing about with the boat, and there's Toadie watching, and that was 18:37 GMT when the camera switched to black and white for the night. So that was that job done. And then I might have seen something. Oh yes, looked as though it might be raining or about to, so check the rain radar, because I'm thinking of taking a walk down to the Comrades Club, and it's a Sunday, of course. So yeah, there, it looks as though it's a reasonable prediction. Yes, bit of oil in the ears, and right, so I'll be off now, and yeah, leave June watching whatever that was on the telly. Yes, the boat still running there, I think, walking down to the village and into the Comrades Club, so I can enjoy my 0% Peroni and the atmosphere. And of course you have to be careful taking photos, but I had that long call from Paul, which was good, catching up. And yes, that's about the only picture you got there of the lovely chat we had with the guys from across the road, and another guy who wasn't in the pit photos there. So back home, there's the robot boat that seems to still be running then, and that was getting close to midnight. So back into the house. Yes, look at the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I'd been, including time at the Comrades Club, and then back home here. Yeah, see how the processing going. Oh, it was, well, what it was, still quite a long time to go. So basically popped up, but next morning I took those pictures to show that the job had been completed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 16th of September 2024, starting with a summary of the photos shot before all the photos. Yes, there's Toadie relaxing in the garden. Took a few snaps around the garden just as a record of where things were, but most of the work was on the robot boat, and I think we're making big progress on tracking down the power problem. The solution was to pop one little battery pack in and leave it running and see how many hours or days it lasted. So that was the key. And yes, document what you're doing as you're going along, so others looking over my shoulder. And there was a visit by a young lady collecting for the Great Ormond Street Hospital charity, and that was an interesting conversation. Then popped round to Stuart's for a natter, and June rustled up food at the back end of the day. I relaxed in the naughty corner eating it. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, starting with June relaxing in the sunshine in the back garden, me making a note of how low the pond's gone. Yes, a job for the winter, as I say, but sometimes little surprises pop out. And go down the garden. No, not much different really. Much the same as it has been for a good few weeks. Yes, Toadie. Hello, Toadie. Yes. And yes, the untidy games room, battery on charge. That's the rig testing a servo to death. And yeah, just checking one of the batteries to put that in the boat, and that was the bright idea. We're trying to track down the problem in the solar power system, so the solution was to unplug the power from that and plug in instead one little battery pack. There you go, 2,300 milliamp hours, and check the time, and that's all running as it should. And an easy way of checking the voltage, which is where the text to speech lead comes out. And yes, the arrival of lady caught on the closed circuit TV for the Great Ormond Street Children's Charity, watched by Toadie, of course. That was an interesting conversation. Yes, did the obvious, gave her the cards and pointed out the NHS site, and yeah, that was a very interesting conversation. I hope it might do some good. Pop round to Stuart's for a chat, and yes, listen to the Radio 4 news, and yes, a very regular process of going out, documented by these photographs, which is checking the voltage of that little battery pack, and making a note of the time, so we can see the rate that the voltage is dropping and make a guess when it will go too low for the boat system to run. Yes, peanuts need topping up, so I did that in the various places. And yes, watched by Toadie, of course. That's the one near the second pond. I popped a few on there as well. And yes, Toadie's keeping an eye on what I'm doing. And that's the feeder on the roof, watched closely by a camera. And then that's out on the front porch. Yes, time to check the voltage on the boat again, coming up to 7 o'clock in the evening. And yeah, fingers crossed, and better document it. So yes, some of those photographs were labelled and put there. I'm being called for dinner, so go in to the kitchen and collect my food, artistically arranged. Oh, I took a banana as well. Yes, and yeah, back into the doing the commentary on the video for the day before, like I am doing for this one. Yeah, there's the test rig testing a servo to death. That seems to be running still. Back out to the boat again, check the voltage. Yeah, so at 10:30 it was that, looking good. Time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 17th of September 2024. First a summary of the photo shot. And the sad thing is the majority of the photos were lost in the process of downloading the camera. But anyhow, very good progress on the robot boat. Basically, yeah, and a trip for the pub lunch with grumpy old friends to the Wheat Sheaf. And yes, enjoyable lunch that was, conversations and food. Back to Richard's for coffee. Now, that is the agenda. I've been able to pop one or two things in here because most of the day was that trip, and all the photos from about 3 o'clock onwards after the coffee up to London were lost. Most annoying. So that was the summary. So now into the photos that I didn't lose. So that's the women back from tennis. There's the robot boat. Yes, checking the voltages, and at that time in the morning that battery had managed to run the boat for more than a day, I think, and that was the test rig testing a servo to death, and that's working well. A few snaps around the room. Yes, so that's the trip planned up to London to City University by a familiar route for basically a get together and a talk on AI, one of the projects I did. There's a few photographs that are up on my Memories of City University, and yeah, that looks like the women tennis as seen by the trackers. There's Toadie relaxing, and what else do we have? Yes, processing and putting the commentary on the video from the day before, like I'm doing for this one. Yeah, pop a bit of olive oil in my ears, ready for treatment. Have a look at the boat again. Yes, 4.93, whatever that is, 10 to 11 in the morning. So that's looking very good. And although it's not on the photo trails, it wasn't till quite late that boat stopped working and the battery did eventually run flat. Yeah, a few snaps looking around the garden, including the pond being low. And then I thought, that rubbish heap has a plastic, had been cement in it, an empty one, and I thought that could be just the job. Don't tell June to put some of her peanuts in. Not peanuts, beg your pardon, bird feed. Since the peanuts I put out are mostly eaten by the birds, so it's not unreasonable to put a mixture on some of the bird feeders, and that's what I did, including the one on the roof, close to a camera. And look at that untidy room, mostly clothes, of course. That's, well, was a bedroom up in there. Yes, so I go around, complete the process of putting the peanuts out. There's Bentley from opposite, a senior guard cat, relaxing in the cat fort. Yes, that's the peanut feeder, or the, well, various wildlife come to eat the peanuts. There's Toadie, yes, prowling around. And there's where we're going, to the Wheat Sheaf for pub lunch for a change. And I know that well from the disco back in the late 60s. And yes, that looks like the women are on their way back from tennis, as seen by the tracker. So yes, I've got some shots of that. And then I thought, right, go out the front. Yes, and that was about the time they arrived. So yes, there's Bentley. Yes, Samantha noticed that he's still up there. Yeah, so that's the pendant tracker. And yeah, look at the boat, 4.91 now. Make a note of that at the time. And my tracker, yes, anybody will be able to see where I go. And yeah, closed circuit TV. Right, relaxing now, waiting for Stuart. Normally arrives at 12, and he does, bang on. So Stuart's chauffeur, because in recent years I've not been able to be chauffeur for the lads. And right down through the village, a few photos on the route past the post office. Yes, Richard wanted to pop in there, but it was too busy. And then on that lovely road past the ruins, and there we go, into the Wheat Sheaf. All been done up in the last few weeks and months. Yeah, so a few snaps inside there, including what I had a light snack and what the guys had. Just a record of what we chose to eat. Oh yes, came to pay the bill. Yes, that was an interesting exercise. And yeah, back past the ruins and into the county of Berkshire and through Sunninghill, including the Courts Hall, back home. And yes, Terry delivered an old Lenovo computer which I'd given him years ago, and he had no use for now. And so I thought, right, amongst more of my junk. And yeah, there we are, looking at the tracker. And yes, there we go. So that was the trip to the Wheat Sheaf, and then back home. And yes, back here. Right, so now up for coffee with the women as well, up to Richard and Faye's, and check the boat. And yes, then back here. And of course, middle of the afternoon I was going to leave. I did a check there we go, 3 o'clock, 4.82 volts, so it was good then. And yeah, put a battery on charge. So these are the last few photos that survived from me offloading the camera. Yeah, that's it. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 18th of September 2024. Starting with a summary of the photos shot. Yes, for the first time I could remember, I had a problem offloading the photos from my camera. On my trip up to City University, and basically everything from the afternoon into the evening were lost. And those photos of the speakers on AI, I'd shown to June. Oh yes, the dead mouse is still there. And yeah, work on the boat, if you call it work, and checking voltages. And so that test had concluded with the battery going flat eventually, and so then change things on that. More detail later. Yes, there's Bentley in the cat fort, relaxing while on duty. And yes, I joined June, having a chat down at the bandsaws to meet doggy Romeo. Hello, Romeo. And also see the good work being done in their garden, related to making it a lawn at the back. Yes, anybody could see where I was. And yeah, back end of the day, June's rustled up dinner. I take it into the naughty corner where I can look at the closed circuit TV, including checks overnight for the foxes coming for the peanuts, and check out the boat. Yes, that test is going okay. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order shot. Yes, that shows that I had a problem with somewhere in the whole process of downloading. And here's a few pictures I created to remembering the sort of material that was on the camera. And yes, so that was my trip, and there's the sort of pictures from my memories from the late 60s. Yes, that mouse is still there. Yeah, what do you do? I could shift it myself, but it's a test for other people. Right, so that has gone flat. So put that battery on charge, but that was one of the tests. It's all documented on that so-called blog 11. So the next test is to try running it from just the left hand side power. So check the time and the voltages, fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. And I can say now that the test was successful, since this has been recorded the next day. Yes, that was recording for the day before. Yes, olive oil in the ears, don't forget that. That's prior to the appointment that's now been made for Friday. Checking voltages. So that is basically the left hand side system, which has got solar power. And of course, the sort of thing you're checking, yes, there's Bentley, is whether the batteries are okay. Yes, made the appointment for the... I had to check things like emails, really. Oh yes, that had arrived through the door, and it seems to be competition for a parish magazine. Well, I did a few checks, and yeah, it's the same sort of thing, advertising. And yeah, looked up who might be the owners of the business and where they are from. Ramsgate, I think that was. Yes, there's Bentley. Oh, a visit from a guy doing cleaning windows. I took him a walk round actually, because I won't bother to go. It's all covered by the videos. And yes, so I made a note of that and put it on the fridge for future reference and discussion with others. Oh yes, that came in. The group of people interested in the history of the name Lovelock and the Lovelock family. Oh yes, I did some checks on that guy, just to see, you know, the name. I might have written it down wrongly or misheard what he said. Anyhow, yes, it was the day to update the graph of total deaths from the Office of National Statistics. Put a print out there, and useful information far beyond COVID. Oh yes, looks like a lunchtime snack arranged artistically by myself. And that is the test rig testing a servo to death. So every now and again you charge up a replacement battery and pop a new battery. That's running all the time continuously. That's checking the voltage on the boat. Fingers crossed that test is going to work. And yeah, 5.29 volts. Yeah, and update the public documentation on it. So there's a picture labelled now on blog 11 for those interested. And yes, so I joined June down at the Bansals. Yeah, a little walk down the road. I like that note. It's not dumped, it's waiting to be collected, because it sounds like he claimed as a hit and run driver. But anyhow, well done him putting that note on there. Yeah, so there was a bit of a delay of them coming to the door, and I didn't see them looking over the fence because they were tucked round the side. But anyhow, I joined them, including Romeo, and the work progressing in their back garden. Hello, Romeo. Yes, lovely dog he is. Yes, he was. I had suggested they use turfs, but they've gone for grass seed, it seems. So we'll see how that comes up. And yeah, make my way back home. And yes, there's the boat. And into the house. Oh yes, check my tracker. See that it was working. Yes, anybody seen? Oh, there it is. In fact, he walked down for a few minutes down outside past Soleratina and back here, listening to the Radio 4 news, attended by Toadie, up to mischief a lot of the time. Checking the voltage. Yes, that left hand side is slowly dropping, but takes time to find out how it's working. Yes, there's Toadie playing around in the front garden. Oh yes, there was that did work actually. It caused me a little bit of confusion that there was a survey on what we thought of the event at City University. That's City and St George's University. They've changed the name by merging with another university up there. Oh yes, yeah, a few visits to the various pages in an email that I'd linked, and that was good that people had actually responded. That's people interested in the robot boat mostly, but it was sent to 2 networks of guys. And yes, that seems to work. Yeah, it looks like I'm being called for dinner, so I go in and put some food on my plate, take it into the naughty corner. Well, I can relax. Ah yes, I see those spiders have made webs in front of a couple of the cameras, so only takes a few minutes to go out and clear those. Oh yes, there's Toadie watching me. I don't show the frame of him attacking me, but that's normal, just practice. Right, so that's the closed circuit TV check for the night, going from midnight forward. Yes, foxes coming at the front and at the back for the peanuts, and caught on more than one camera. And there's a glimpse of a little mouse. In fact, at that stage he was sat on top of the concrete pussycat, and there was 2 mice there. Oh, there's foxes. Yeah, a bit of a growl from one, and yeah, don't know whether they're siblings or whatever, but that one is obviously very relaxed and confident. So that was through till 05:32 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. So now running back from midnight. Same sort of visitors, foxes, and pretty well it. But yes, and then as we're working further back, there's me looking at the boat, and June has just picked me up. And yes, making a note of when the boat stopped. That was 20:30 GMT, I think. Through to 18:24 GMT when the camera switched, and live there was a fox on the front porch. Yeah, quick check on the boat. That test. Yeah, 9:15 in the evening and 5.03 volts. I think that was. There's Toadie. There's June watching tennis just for a change. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 19th of September 2024, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, Toadie relaxing on the drive and inside watching what's going on, and of course work on the robot boat, and we're zeroing in on batteries now, all to do with testing, checking voltages, and yeah, women get back from tennis, and the idea was to go over to Black Park Sailing Club meeting. I had a chat with Richard, and yes, and we're over there, and absolutely lovely meeting the guys, real knowledge that, including another Robin. That's where the knowledge is, and of course a lovely place, and it's been improved in recent years, the cafe where we had an ice cream. and then made our way back. Lots of history of that place, you'll see in some of the photos. And then via Mantua Models, and I came away with a larger subseas battery pack, nickel metal hydride. Richard might be interested in that. I've ordered other ones to check out. Yes, closed circuit TV check at the end of the day after eating, usual pattern of foxes and things, and then live as I'd finished, watched by Toadie out the window. Yes, brought the boat in because the stage we're at now is getting into more detail of wiring. Ah, now that was an interesting email. Disguising, looked like a guy in Cairo. Memories. Okay, now into the photos in the order that they were shot. Yes, the boat had stopped down at 2.07 volts. That's why we do the testing, trying different things. He says, yes, that's the left hand side, and there's the right hand side, nice and high. So another test. It's all rather messy wiring, especially the temporary wiring, to try out different things, and fingers crossed we'll see what happens. The main hope is that you discover something new. Yes, Toadie watching. And then back, various test rigs. So that's the packs that I have been using in parallel. So what happens if we just have a single pack on running, and some of it has to be thrown away, all to do with recharging and retesting. And yes, the closed circuit TV shows that at 0102 GMT is when that boat stopped on that test. It looks like the women are either off to tennis or back from tennis. Back from tennis, I think. Yes, Toadie looking out the window, and yeah, there's Bentley in the cat fort. Yes, with armed to mice and warning signs, of course. Yes, Bentley, don't work too hard. Yeah, so that could be them back now. Yes, processing of the video for the day before, which was the Wednesday the 18th, and putting a commentary on like I'm doing now as best I can, checking voltages and noting the times, which all go into the notebook, and of course the photo trails. That means to me consulting back. I'll pop round, have a chat with Richard and Stuart, that was, and the idea was about a trip over to Black Park Model Boat Club. We meet on a Thursday and a Sunday, I think. And yes, that shows the tracker. That's anybody who see, oh, he spent some time at the door there. So check June's tracker. Oh, that shows at tennis. So those earlier photos with them leaving, I expect. And yes, that's the test rig testing a servo to death. All these things are going on in parallel. A few snaps of the pond, water even lower, and job for the winter, as I always say. But the key thing is you can discover things just by leaving it. Yeah, there's the gunner. A few snaps around the garden, not many. And yeah, back into the games room, untidy of course, into the lounge, and what do I see there? Yes, no comment, you can always freeze frame. Ideas coming back from Richard on why not using other batteries. Wives might explain to them why not. Right, so yes, they'll be expected back soon. June's tracker, so I expect them outside now. Don't know why I had my eyes half closed then. And yeah, so they arrive from their tennis, and yes, that's June's pendant tracker, same sort of thing that I wear. And yeah, check voltages and times, 5.2 volts at whatever time that was. That's on whatever is being tested there. And yes, I did have a look at alternatives to those packs. I've been using the AA packs, but having typically 2 packs in parallel. And of course, a reasonable question is asked, well, wouldn't it be better to have larger packs but not connect them in parallel? That might be causing the problem. And we don't know, but the answer is test. And of course, I did order some of those subsea packs as well. So we're off on our way now, just June driving and myself, through the village of Sunninghill, on our way to Black Park, through a few landmarks. On the way is the Windsor Great Park on our right, over the Thames, and where we're heading is north of Slough, past another wheat sheaf, not the same wheat sheaf as the one at Virginia Water. So we're getting closer, and yes, there it is, a sign off to Black Park. So lovely area, into the car park. Now of course it might depend on what day and time you go, but there was no problem at all finding a car parking slot. And of course they've actually got slots reserved for people that need no mobility access, and it's good for that. So I went through a bit of a exercise remembering how to use the machine to buy the ticket, which you put on display. I then walked through and making my way to where the guys meet for the sailing club. June decided to sit on the seat. Wasn't particularly interested in meeting us, so she was just sat relaxing. A few snaps of the wildlife, and the guys that I chatted to, including another Robin. And yes, lots of knowledge tucked away. Yeah, this guy used to fly aircraft, I think, model aircraft on Chobham Common. Anyhow, he certainly knew those things, but boating can be a lot easier as the years go by, and in many ways more interesting. So there's the cafe that we were making our way through, and you chat to interesting guys on the way. And so enjoyed our ice cream. A lot of the place has been improved in recent years, and some of my friends like Richard have probably not been there for I don't know, 20 years or more, don't know. Anyhow, there's lots of history on things like the dam wall and the history of the place. Obviously there'd been a grand place there, and there's the stream, the overflow. So we're making our way back. You can always freeze frame on any pictures you're interested. Back to the car, you see, practically empty car park. No problem with parking. Oh yes, past some graffiti. So we're now making our way to Dedworth and Mantua Models. It looks as though we're probably going over the Thames there. Not a lot of time, because they close at past. Yeah, past the fountains in the middle. Get to the place, and the whole exercise of going in, buying one of the batteries that they had, and coming out was whatever that was. I think 4 minutes at the most. And now on our way home, and through Cheapside Village, into Sunninghill, past the Cords Hall, and the theatre, and the Rajvuj, through the middle, past the 3-1 barber shop and other things, back to our place, and Bentley, relaxing. And yes, so take a look at the boat, and yes, that's the pack. And one of the things I was interested in is the physical size of those subsea batteries, and of course the product, which might be useful. Yeah, looking at the track, anybody could see where we went and where I spent time, including walking around Black Park Lake to the cafe for our ice creams, and then stopping off at Mantua Models, that's on Street View, and back home, just here. listened to the Radio 4 news, and yeah, did another check on the boat. 5 volts there, made a note at the time. Also the check-in, tried that double pack now that we had some doubt about, instead of in the boat, trying it in the test rig, and there's comparing the physical size of the battery. Now that's a 5-cell pack. If you wanted 6 volts, which might be suitable for Richard's boat. Oh yes, booking of the talk on TSR2. So I thought, yeah, better do that. So I'd sent off the necessary email, and obviously mentioned my interest in TSR2 because of the guys I work with at ESAMS. June rustled up dinner, so I take it into the naughty corner where I can relax, eat the dinner, yes, look at the closed circuit TV, including, decided that the feeders needed topping up. Those snaps are just to show that. And yeah, so there's the closed circuit TV check for the night, starting from midnight running forward, Foxes until 0540 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day, then running back from midnight, again Foxes, 2 Foxes there after the peanuts, and on the back bridge, or the top bridge, and me going out because this is the previous night, and oh yes, me clearing the cobwebs the previous day, until 1828 GMT when the camera switched to black and white for the night, and there we are live, a couple of Foxes coming for the peanuts. Yes, watched by Toady. Hello Toady, don't give him any worries. Oh yes, dose of olive oil, because the next day I've got the appointment. Check the boat, yes, that had stopped, and I could see what time it was on the closed circuit TV, 2021 GMT. So then question is what test to do next, and so again mostly to do with checking voltages and things, and it was a bit difficult outside to see what one was doing, so I decided no, take the boat back indoors. So the next day we can leave it running as a test, but decide what to do next day. And yeah, it looks as I did a set of tests going there, and measure the voltage at 10 o'clock in the evening. Oh yes, interesting email came in, which I checked, and was the content of it was genuine, but the email address was disguised, which reminded me of my business trips to Egypt in the early 80s. Anyhow, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 20th of September 2024, starting with a summary of the photos that follow. Yes, Toady relaxing in their back garden, and Bentley likewise out the front, and yes, the robot boat had been brought inside for more tests to do with locating the power problems, and an interesting diversion was that problem, if you call it that, reminded me of trips to Egypt years ago. Went down to Bayfields, had my ears done, or one of the ears done, and yes, June rustled up food at the back end of the day. I took it into the naughty corner, looked at the closed circuit TV of the Foxes coming at front and back for peanuts, and a little mouse. Well, is that a little mouse? So that's the end of the summary. So starting with a few photos around the garden, including Toady prowling around. Just a record of what it was at that time. And yes, the pond very low, and yeah, something for the winter months. He's probably looking for mice bathing, I suppose. yes, just a record of what the pond was on that day. And yes, boring really, I suppose, but useful record, aid to my memory, as are most of these photo trails. And looking back into the untidy games room and the boats there, yes, checking voltages on yet another test, finding out the batteries, whether they've got faults inside them and things like that. Was a pack that I bought and might be of interest to Richard. But yes, chat on the phone with my old workmate Dave, and what prompted it was an email that it appears, looking at the email address, to have been from Egypt, and in fact by coincidence where I'd visited back in the early 80s on business. And right, probably doing the, yes, checking out a few things there, including June's shopping shown on her tracker. But he says, looks as though she spent a bit of time before at the Mercedes place. And in fact that was confirmed when I spoke to her, which she'd popped in there because of the oil leak problem that she'd had. Yes, and sure enough you could see some little signs of it on her drive. Yeah, so that was useful. Then I spoke to Terry about a briefing coming up on TSR2, and yeah, then to walk down to the village. And this was, oh yes, that amused me, which is that vehicle that's been there for a while. So I'm going down to Bayfields, past a few landmarks in the village, over the railway, and into Bayfields to have one of my ears vacuumed out. They do it these days, and that was the result in terms of what they took out. Very, very useful trip from many points of view. Yeah, that was the bill. And yes, what I mentioned is, in fact, I got half of that back later in the day, because I mistakenly didn't remind them that in fact I was going to be paying a lot less than that, because I was having one ear done, but no problem. Yes, looking at the tracker, anybody could have seen where I went. I'm not sure whether the address is completely accurate because of scattering things. Oh yes, I made another order. That was very well done. The lady, I think possibly in Algeria, was able to track down my last order and do a repeat order, and at the same low price for, I think that was another 2,000 cards. That should keep me going for another year or two. Yes, I do sprinkle them out quite a lot. Oh yes, some more literature came through the door. It made an interesting read. Another candidate for the local elections, very professionally put together. And there's Toadie relaxing with June and Samantha dressed for tennis. And I guess, would they be going off now? Don't know, difficult to leave you keep track. Yeah, more checks on that. Lots of these things going on in parallel. Looks like another walk down to the village, and that was probably to yes, over the railway again, probably to apologise that I hadn't made it clearer earlier, and that worked out brilliantly. So yes, in fact better than what I'd hoped. Yes, came back, there's Bentley relaxing across the road, and I check trackers, including his June tracker. Yes. Relax. Yes. All sorts of things go on the closed circuit TV. Oh, I can see they're on their way back. So, yes, there they are, updating regularly. It's always useful to check these things. Practically here. Yes, they were in Samantha's car. There's Toadie to greet them. And, yeah, that updates. So, what are we doing now? Oh, yes, checking the ring camera. Yes, that had run flat. So that solar panel, obviously not a good place where it is in the porch. I had a bit of a doze. Oh, yes, woke up. It's been a busy day. And, yes, switched on the porch light. Makes quite a difference on the closed circuit TV, that. Had a look at the boat. Oh, yes, time to put some peanuts out. Yeah, make a note of voltages and the time. And yes, that one had stopped. That was the test rig testing a servo to death. Yes. So peanuts up there. I noticed the wildlife, including birds, are not touching those white bird seeds. Not bird seed, bird feeds, but do love the peanuts. So we're getting through peanuts at an enormous rate. And that's the feeder out the front. So I just topped a few more peanuts up on that. And yeah, needed the torch to see down how far the peanut feeder had gone. So top that up as well. And so I can go back, relax again for a little while. Yes, that all comes out okay on the closed circuit TV. Looks like June's rustling up dinner. And yeah, so they watch the tennis, and I take my dinner into the naughty corner in the lounge, but the seating is much more comfortable. And then I do a closed circuit TV checks going from midnight forward, boxes at the front and at the back, through till 05:46 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. Now going back from midnight, similar sort of pattern of foxes at the front, down to the back, and a little mouse came out very nicely there. He likes peanuts as well. Yes, young fox. And Robin coming out and moving the boat. This is, don't forget, the day before, moving the boat from the front. Yes, little fox again, to the back. Two foxes there. And at the rear. So back till 18:24 GMT when the camera switched to black and white for the night. So that's done. June's watching tennis. Time for bed. So that's the end of the closed circuit TV check. Sorry, that's the end of the photo trail. I did warn you they'd be long photo trails. That's right, isn't it, Toadie? Yes. Right, what we're going to do now is run into those clips that were shot whenever it was, 18 months or so ago. Starting from, yes, that's the camera being used. And starting from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades. to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. Shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels, to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelocks said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Lovelocks launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well. But as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me whittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the font's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.